Hello, sisters and brothers. Our devotional for today, for August 2, is a reflection on My Utmost for His Highest, a series of devotionals that were written and compiled by Oswald Chambers. You can always find the link for the daily devotional at utmost.org. For today's devotional, the focus is on a singular verse, and that comes from the very end of John chapter 16. So, the Gospel of John, verse 33 of chapter 16. I have told you these things so that in me you may have peace. In this world you will have trouble, but take heart. I have overcome the world. And the title of the devotional today is The Teaching of Adversity. The typical view of the Christian life is that it means being delivered from all adversity, but it actually means being delivered in adversity, which is something very different. He who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. No evil shall befall you, nor shall any plague come near your dwelling. Psalm 91, verse 1 and 10. The place where you are at one with God. If you are a child of God, you will certainly encounter adversities. But Jesus says you should not be surprised when they come. In the world you will have tribulation. Be of good cheer. I have overcome the world. He is saying, there is nothing for you to fear. The same people who refuse to talk about their adversities before they were saved often complain and worry after being born again because they have the wrong idea of what it means to live the life of a saint. God does not give us overcoming life. He gives us life as we overcome. The strain of life is what builds our strength. If there is no strain, there will be no strength. Are you asking God to give you life, liberty, and joy? He cannot unless you are willing to accept the strain. And once you face the strain, you will immediately get the strength. Overcome your own timidity and take the first step. Then God will give you nourishment. To him who overcomes, I will give to eat from the tree of life. Revelation 2, verse 7. If you completely give of yourself physically, you become exhausted. But when you give of yourself spiritually, you get more strength. God never gives us strength for tomorrow or for the next hour, but only for the strain of the moment. Our temptation is to face adversities from the standpoint of our own common sense. But a saint can be of good cheer even when seemingly defeated by adversities, because victory is absurdly impossible to everyone except God. So as we reflect on this, and Chambers reminding us that very often we do hear the teaching that declares that a Christian life should be free of trouble, free of adversity. And I'll admit, I grew up believing that and thinking that. It wasn't so much that it was taught to me, but I was just observing. I was watching people, and I saw this idea coming to life that if you lived a good life, if you followed the rules, if you obeyed God's commandments, then life would just go the way it was supposed to, which was a good life. But there was some marriage of the American dream and religion that was tied in with that, and it offered me no explanation for what would happen when trouble truly came. I didn't see that talked about enough. I didn't hear that talked about enough. But it was truly in my difficult moments, in my darkest moments, that God really showed me who he was and what he intended for me. So now I understand that God's grace is for us in the struggle, not to protect us from the struggle, but he will carry us through. This idea that Jesus will give us the strength for the moment, not for tomorrow. It's for us to get through what we're going through right now. That's very, very, very true, founded throughout Scripture. So I want you to think about that you are being given grace and strength in the moment. But more importantly, I want you to make sure that you're not giving other people the idea that the Christian life is free from adversity. Be willing to allow your struggle and your story to be a testimony for God's faithfulness and goodness. Don't let other people get the idea that if you live life a certain way, if you come into the Christian faith, if you have a certain spiritual journey, that life is going to be free from trouble, because if you do, people will certainly feel like they've had the rug pulled out from underneath them when trouble does come, and it will come. So think about that. Take the encouragement of knowing that God is with you in the struggle, but also be willing to make sure that you're sharing what God is doing for you in the struggle with others. Thank you, as always, for listening. Be safe and stay well.